Hey guys, thank you so much for clicking on this video. My name is Chris, and if you're watching this, you most likely just got done seeing 2018's Halloween. And if you didn't, please click away, guys. I'm going to be explaining the ending of the movie, all the little scenes throughout it, and possible Easter eggs and references or callbacks to previous movies that you might have missed. If you want to see my spoiler-free review where I give my thoughts on the movie and my overall rating, you can click on this video right here, link in the description or card right above me. But intros aside, let's jump right into that ending for Halloween. So by the end of Halloween, we get to see Laurie Strode, played by Jamie Lee Curtis, complete her decade-long plan to trap Michael Myers in her basement and set him to flames. How did we get to this point? Well, it all started with a domino effect involving two podcasters. Now, these guys go around investigating previous murders, stuff that isn't heavily televised, but is still interesting for them. Their subject for this entry is, of course, Michael Myers. They go and visit him at his asylum where he's been for the past 40 years. At the asylum, they get to talk to Michael's new psychiatrist, Dr. Seriton. He's been working with Michael for the past 30 years, observing him, learning from him, trying to treat him. We get the basic rundown that we do in all the movies. He hasn't spoken in several years, he shows no emotions, he doesn't show any progress, he's really just an evil being. But these particular investigators are just fascinated and want to get an unbiased opinion of Michael, hoping that there is some heart to him or some emotional bearing that they can bring out of him. Of course, that doesn't work. They move on to Jamie Lee Curtis's character, and it's here where we get a little backstory of what she's been doing for the past 40 years. We learn that she's gone through 2 marriages, so 2 divorces. She did get a daughter out of one of those marriages, and unfortunately that daughter was taken away from her. This being because Jamie Lee Curtis's character grew up very protective, very feared, and pursued her daughter to live a life of a survivor, teaching her the ropes of holding a gun, of shooting a gun, of protecting yourself from an intruder. Just a lot of heavy weighing things that would not warrant a regular human being growing up. The state, of course, realized this, took the daughter away, and ever since then, Laurie's daughter has resented her for how her childhood went and considering her mom a little bit crazy. Being that it has been 40 years though, Karen Strode has grown up, gotten married, and has had a daughter of her own, making Laurie a grandmother. We then cut to scenes of Allison, Laurie's granddaughter, speaking to her mother, Karen, asking her if Laurie can join them for dinner and can talk things out. It is Halloween and it's one of the most stressful nights for her. She does not want her grandmother to be alone. Karen, knowing how her mother is, really just lies to her daughter and tells her, no, let's just avoid it, or yeah, she's maybe coming. But we cut to scenes of Laurie with Allison talking it out, almost like they have these secret meetings all the time with each other. They seem to be very close and protective, but Allison, of course, is very fearful of Laurie's life just because of how she has spent it. Not understanding her fears, her worries over something that happened a long time ago, she continues to try to break through her, but it just doesn't seem to work out. Meanwhile, however, a bus that is supposed to be transporting Michael Myers to a new asylum happens to break down. We later find out that it was actually from the psychiatrist. He is the one who managed to get the bus to break out and help Michael escape because over the years of studying him, he has become so fascinated and enthralled with the idea of being a killer, to the point where he kind of wants to experience it himself or witness Michael in action to get some sort of thrill out of it. From here, Michael steals a car much like he did in the original 1978 movie, killing a father and a son in the process, showing up to Haddonfield and just going on murder rampage after murder rampage. Laurie's daughter Karen, her husband, and her daughter become aware that she's not crazy, that this is a real threat, and Laurie is able to convince her family to come back to her home where she has booby traps and plenty of ammunition to protect them from Michael. Meanwhile, we have Allison getting back together with the sheriff, trying to get her to the safety of the Laurie Strode's home, having the psychiatrist there with them, finding Michael, running him over, and it's here where it was revealed the psychiatrist really just wants to keep Michael alive and see where his rampage goes in front of Laurie. Allison is stuck in the back of a cop car with an unconscious Michael Myers while we have the psychiatrist driving him to Laurie's house. Michael eventually wakes up and of course kills everybody, but Allison manages to get away to safety in the woods. It's here where we finally get the showdown we've been waiting for, Michael versus Laurie Strode. In this battle, we get to see Laurie take a few hits, but she manages to shoot off some of the fingers of Michael Myers. Her daughter Karen, being protected in the bunker waiting for her mom to come back or to kill this beast, does not completely work out because Michael manages to throw Laurie Strode out a balcony, and while Michael heads back down to finish the job with Karen, Allison joins her mother in the bunker. Michael manages to rip the island holding them in the bunker and starts heading down there. However, at this point, Karen finally takes all her training from her childhood into use, using a couple of whimpering scare tactics to get Michael out in the open, shoot him, land him in the trap of the bunker that turned out to be a cage for Michael the entire time. They seal him shut, and with a few gas lines and a flare, they set the house on fire. And as the 3 generations of victims of Michael Myers drive off in a pickup, we get to see a look back at that basement, and Michael is nowhere to be found. Now, I thought this was actually a pretty interesting way to end the movie, touching on just the final act when it's revealed the psychiatrist was the one who set Michael loose because he just grew this sick obsession with him. Reminds me a lot of the Joker and Harley Quinn relationship and how that happened. He really just wants to see Michael in action, or he wants to experience killing someone just to see what Michael gets out of it, just because he got so fascinated and so in the head of Michael Myers. I thought was a great and interesting concept, but the movie executed it kind of weirdly. He became kind of a cartoonish character and really didn't have a plan. It felt more like the movie's excuse to get Allison and Michael drove into Laurie's house. Also, that whole scene with Karen using that fake I'm scared tactic to get Michael out and shoot him, awesome. And I was just really looking forward to that the whole movie, seeing if everything that Laurie taught her as a kid would come into play, and it really did. Also, as soon as it was revealed that it was going to be fire that was going to kill Michael Myers, I knew he was going to get away just like he did in Halloween 2. But jumping off that point about the psychiatrist and what they did with him, revealing him to just be obsessed with killing like Michael Myers, learning it from him after spending years and years trying to rehabilitate him, I got a few messages earlier in the year from some of my fans who watched the show. Thank you, you know who you are. And they claimed to have watched a pre-screening of Halloween way back earlier in the year, and you might have remembered there were reports going around that Halloween was testing badly, that people were actually not liking the movie, that there were certain things wrong with it that really needed to be fixed. I didn't go into reading those emails at the time just because I wanted to be surprised by the movie, but I went and found them back, and if they are true, because they can be completely fake, anybody can just write to me saying anything and be making up stuff, but being that 3 different people sent it to me at different times, I kind of tend to believe it. Now, they claim, again, it could be a rumor, this is not confirmed, that the original cut of the movie had Laurie be the one responsible for Michael escaping. In the scene where she's in the car and drunk and trying to see if Michael's gonna go off into the new prison, she actually was so intoxicated that she sort of started the domino effect that got him to escape. And this, honestly, to me, makes a lot more sense with some of the context and lines in the movie, especially from the trailer. This line always bugged me.
I pray every night that he would escape.
What the hell did you do that for?
So I can kill him.
The way the sheriff responds to Laurie and saying, "Why did you do that for?" I thought was always a weird way to respond to what Laurie just said. If this line wasn't ADR'd and replaced, that line of conversation just makes a lot more sense to me instead of responding, "Why would you do that?" which implies a one action thing. If she's praying every night that he escapes, that's a multiple action thing. That's not just something you say, "Why would you do that one thing for?" And I'm so glad they actually changed that, because that means every death that happened in this movie would then be on the hands of Laurie Strode, which would kind of turn her into a villain. And we're supposed to be rooting for her and liking her, so the fact that they changed that I thought was awesome. Now knowing that fact, it makes sense why the psychiatrist role felt a little rushed and sort of sloppy, because it was something they threw in last minute. Because they needed someone to be responsible for Michael escaping. They also needed someone to drive Michael and Allison to the house of Laurie. In defense of this scene, I'm gonna say there is precedence in other Michael Myers movies that would give this fact of the psychiatrist turning from being around Michael. If you remember in Halloween 4, it ends with his niece then turning just like him and killing her family. I always thought that was fascinating. I wish further movies expanded on that, but they just sort of ignored it. Not only that, but in the original Halloween, Dr. Loomis was treating Michael for multiple years, all sitting down in quiet sessions because Michael had stopped speaking. And in those sessions, he said he got a couple of years of trying to rehabilitate him. Then he realized there's nothing that can be fixed. He's just pure evil and he needs to be locked away. How can you get that if a guy just sat quietly your entire session? It's something that we always call back to, and that's Michael's eyes. Staring into his eyes has a weird effect on you. They sort of expand on it on Rob Zombie's Halloween, how he has no soul, it's just pure blackness, pure evil. I think Loomis saw that in Michael back in 1978. The niece was exposed to that in Halloween 4, carrying on the legacy of Michael and going on to killing. And now this psychiatrist who was not strong enough to have these sessions with Michael without staring into those black eyes and being consumed and enthralled with the idea of maybe if I kill, I can understand what he's thinking. So in that defense, I thought the concept of it was awesome. But the execution? terrible because it lasts for like 5 to 7 minutes. And it's even more goofy when he puts on the mask and you realize how huge Michael's head actually is compared to the psychiatrist. He looks pretty funny. And after he reveals his true colors, he just sort of becomes like a cartoonish villain with a little twirling mustache. He had no end game in sight. His whole plan was just get Michael to Laurie and let's see what happens. That's it. He really thought Michael was gonna let him go just because he helped him along his way? You gotta be smarter than that, man. But jumping off the ending and my thoughts about that, let me go into some of the Easter eggs in the movie. Now, I don't know if you really want to call these Easter eggs. I feel they're more like callbacks or references to the past movies, but no one is really searching Halloween references or callbacks, so Easter eggs was the clickbait title I wanted to go with. So I mentioned in my spoiler-free review that I think this Halloween movie is a lot like what The Force Awakens was to the original Star Wars. It's basically the exact same story, just modernized and with new characters added. We get to see Michael escape with a bunch of mental patients and going after somebody with a car just like he did in the original movie, driving off in that car. We see Michael go back to the grave of his sister, Judith Myers, that he killed when he was 6 years old, just like in the first movie, probably trying to steal that tombstone, but he saw people were there. We see Laurie's granddaughter sitting in the exact same spot, learning the same subject that she did back in 1978, looking out the window, and instead of seeing Michael, she sees her granddaughter. We have teenagers walking down the street after school talking about their sinful activities that they'll do on Halloween night, much like in the first movie. We also see 3 kids wearing identical masks to Halloween 3, Season of the Witch. In that same scene where kids are in Halloween costumes, we do see a kid in a cowboy outfit with a boombox, just like in Halloween 2. While one of the characters is babysitting, they do again where they have a classic horror movie playing. I don't know what movie is playing. If you do know, comment down below. In the original, we had John Carpenter play The Thing, and then he even later remade that movie. We have a person covered in a ghost sheet, just like Michael did in the first movie. We have Michael stab somebody with a kitchen knife right to the wall and get them stuck up there. Laurie at the dinner with her family refers to Michael as the Shape, just like he is mentioned in the original movie by Dr. Loomis. He is also credited as the Shape and not Michael Myers in the movie, which I found was interesting. Michael at one point is hit by a car, sort of a callback to the way an innocent pedestrian just wearing the Michael Myers outfit was killed and murdered wrongfully by a cop. At one point when Laurie is battling Michael Myers, she gets thrown off a balcony, and when Michael goes to look after her, she disappears, just like how Michael disappeared in the 1978 movie after he was presumed dead. Another interesting thing that might have gone over your head is the bedroom in where Michael and Laurie have their final fight in this movie is an identical replica to the bedroom in 1978 where she fought Michael originally. The reason Laurie did this is because she knew that layout perfectly, because she relives that moment every day of her life. So if she recreates that bedroom, she has an advantage because she knows every square inch of that place. If there's any Easter eggs I missed, guys, please let me know down below. I'm sure there's a bunch that I did miss. If you do actually come up with a good one, I'll go ahead and pin it to the top comment so people can see it. Let me know your thoughts for the sequel, where the franchise could go. Always happy to hear that. Be sure to like and subscribe. Follow me on Twitter at 3C Film Review. But as always, I'm Chris. Take care.